Now, as 2020 was coming to a close, we had found out that Kobe Bryant was possibly in the verge of breaking off that major Nike tree and starting his own company with the Mamba brand. He was already working with a venture capitalist, the same guy that had kind of invested and made a major push for Uber to start up. Now, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see that they already had a sample model already designed. They have future meeting dates all planned out to happen just a few weeks after his death. Just keep in mind that Kobe Bryant is not a Nike homegrown baby. Let's not forget that when he was drafted, he actually signed a 6-year Adidas deal. How could we not forget those space looking shoes that he had back when Kobe had the fro in his earlier days? But his relationship with Adidas once again lasted 6 years, from 96 to 2003. And then from 2003 on, Kobe had signed with Nike. How could we not forget those exclusive Jordan Player Edition shoes that Kobe was rocking in the 2003-2004 seasons? But after a few years of just rocking Player Edition Jordans and Huaraches and Zoom 2K4s, Kobe ended up getting his own line around 2005 with Nike. So fast forwarding to 2020, according to the venture capitalist, Kobe Bryant was unhappy with the way Nike handled his shoe line after his retirement. The lack of promotion, he didn't trust the design team, there was a lack of communication. All these things started having a ripple effect on his shoe sales. And when you think about it, it kind of doesn't make sense, especially for a legacy act/player in Kobe Bryant. He plays in a big market. He's probably one of the most popular players of all time. He actually, to me, he transcended the Lakers, because a lot of people, they're Kobe Bryant fans over the Lakers. But going back to the lack of promotion, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, because Kobe Bryant's shoe line, he has popular models within that line. And LeBron James, he does not really have a popular shoe in his whole line throughout all the years he's been in the league. And his shoes get way more promotion. And we've seen a history of this happen at Nike, where they have so many players on their roster that they sometimes overlook other guys. We've seen them overlook Stephen Curry because in his contract renewals, they gave him the same presentation that they gave Kevin Durant. They just forgot to change his name on the slideshow. That's how that got exposed. And it seemed like Kobe Bryant felt like he was getting that same treatment, but he was a legacy act. Now, Nike had one last meeting with Kobe set up just a few weeks after his death. It's very unfortunate, but best believe they were not going to let him walk away, because Nike sort of plays the same game that Facebook plays, where they kind of buy out their competition. Because best believe if Kobe had branched off, he was going to be competing against the Mamba brand that Nike had already established. And best believe Nike does not want that. So when I say Nike kind of operates the same way Facebook operates, in which they buy out the competition, just imagine Nike is Facebook and Kobe is Snapchat, LeBron is TikTok, Kevin Durant is WhatsApp. So Nike wants to control the market share and make sure that these guys have brands within their ecosystem. Sort of the same way Michael Jordan operates within Nike. Even though he has a Jordan brand, it's just under the Nike umbrella. So with these brands operating underneath that Nike umbrella, Nike can continue to dominate in the athletic footwear category and also the athletic wear category. T-shirts, sweaters, hoodies. These are the two major categories that Nike dominates other brands in. And that's because they're controlling the influential market share of the players in their prime years, where they're making a name for themselves. So here's where it gets tricky. And this is where the perfect timing of this Kobe situation comes into play. So now you take social media, the way technology has evolved. Now the players are kind of walking brands and entities of their own. With all these venture capitalists and a lot of billionaires being made every single day, it's going to breed competition for these guys to get investors and kind of start off their own entities. And once again, this is due to the fact that now these guys can promote themselves on the internet, which used to be another major channel that big companies like Nike used to control. Because think about it, if there was no social media for you to promote yourself, you would have to go through a major company and get sponsored and get big time commercials, which cost a lot of money. Now they can just skip all that. They can take their popularity, their fans that already messed with them, and carry them over to another platform and sell directly to their fans. And keep in mind, due to social media and the way today's marketplace deals with advertising and promotion, people are more aligned with personalities than to brands. So people are not really loyal to the Nike brand. They would be loyal to Kobe Bryant and whatever products he sells. We see this play out, for example, with the Kardashians. That's why they can sell through multiple mediums. They can sell cosmetics, they can sell t-shirts, clothes, bras, panties. People are going to follow them through various entities because they like the personalities. Let's say if they did a collaboration with Victoria's Secret, the fans are not necessarily loyal to Victoria's Secret. They're loyal to the Kardashians. And best believe Nike understands that. The technology is changing a lot of things. The players will eventually be Nike's competition if they don't lock them up. The same way ESPN covers NBA players, but at the same time they compete against them in the media because a lot of these players are starting their own podcasts and media companies. So Nike's main game plan right now is to buy market share, aka the players, because like Facebook, they're not really doing anything innovative where people are loyal to that Facebook brand or Nike brand. If you look at Facebook the past couple of years, all they do is just buy out Instagram, they bought out WhatsApp, but they didn't really make anything great. Same thing with Nike. They kind of rely on legacy acts, legacy players. Their most popular player right now, Lebron James, does not even have a popular selling shoe. They're kind of building up his personality through social media. It's almost like they're trying to make him popular so people will just know who he is, even if you don't watch basketball. And this is the game that Kobe Bryant, as we all know, he doesn't really have the same personality as LeBron James. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be on TikTok or trying to show his ass everywhere, trying to be like, oh, look at me, look at me. Kobe Bryant doesn't play those type of games. He wants people to flock towards his brand because the product is that good. And I believe for a long time, Nike has not focused on the products. They're just focusing on the popularity of the players and hoping that that will end up selling the product. This can definitely work. As you see the Kardashians, it works out for them, but it has to be organic. Speaking of popularity, I'm wondering in 2015, how was LeBron James able to secure a lifetime deal from Nike without having a top of the line selling product or shoe? And as we see it played out with Kobe, he was not even locked in for that type of deal, even though his shoes were less promoted than LeBron's, but yet he had a few popular models within his line that LeBron James's shoes have never even reached. Now, I know if I was Kobe Bryant, I'll be looking at this very carefully. I mean, you add this with Kobe Bryant not liking the lack of promotion post-retirement on his products, and also him not seeing eye to eye with the design team, you understand why he eventually wanted to just branch off. And best believe him branching off was going to have a ripple effect the same way when LeBron James had took control of his future and left the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to Miami. And now we see all the players follow suit and take control of their future and try to put themselves in the most successful position that they can. LeBron leaving Cleveland and going to Miami is basically the Great Awakening, where a lot of players realize that whole being loyal to an NBA franchise shit, it doesn't make any sense, because the minute the city gets rid of you, no one feels sorry for you. The only loyalty players should have is to themselves and to their families. And this is pretty much the norm in the NBA today. But there was an original backlash, but in today's NBA, this is the norm. The same way, if Kobe Bryant had started off his own shoe company, there was going to be some bumps on the road, but best believe he was going to lay out a blueprint for other players to follow suit. The same way LeBron James had left the blueprint for guys to take control of their futures and not be afraid of leaving their franchise and putting themselves in a better position. All these things got ripple effects, man. Once people start to see that something works and something is possible, they're going to follow suit. And this is something that is very damaging to the business model of Nike. That's why they're willing to shell out a lot of money to these guys. I mean, in the land of capitalism, there's a lot of billionaires out there. They're looking to start the next Nike. And if they understand the way social media and marketing works today, they can definitely leverage their money along with the popularity of a player and also their resources, aka factories or just distribution. They could eventually get some shit popping. Competition definitely breeds innovation, and you wouldn't get the same stagnation Nike has been in as far as the creative side in the past like 20 years plus. Having new players in the marketplace is not something that's far-fetched. People looked at Lavar Ball crazy when he wanted to start his own shoe company. When his son Lonzo first came into the NBA, it would have worked with the right investors, and they would need Lonzo to almost be a transcendent player within the league as far as popularity and in his game. They would need all these things to work simultaneously. But when you have a legacy act like Kobe Bryant, who has the game and popularity to all back it up, along with the major investors he was working with, you have a formula for something with major potential. So Lavar's idea for the Big Baller brand, Kobe's idea for the Mamba brand of his own, this is not going to be the last time we hear about these type of things that are going to be in the works, because the environment right now, it's going to breed a lot of competition that's going to go up against Nike. There's nothing they can really do to stop it. It's just the way the marketing is nowadays. These guys can promote themselves. And when you combine that with a lot of billionaires being made every year, and they're getting younger and younger, and they're especially coming from tech, and they have an understanding of the algorithms, the social media, they're going to recognize quickly what people or institutions to invest in. And best believe they have a lot of ambition to be the next Phil Knight or even go above that. The only thing Nike can really do is what Facebook is doing. Toss out a ton of money to the other innovators and put them all underneath the umbrella.